So first I want to go through the negative example, the old command and control and the old authority and accountability, and you actually have to control people into work. My first job was working for my dad, and I was on a lathe making these little critters, which are brass fittings that allow you to fit a big pipe onto a small pipe. And if you're really good, you made even more complicated fittings. I didn't actually graduate fully to this totally, so you'd actually have fittings that would fit like this. Now, we worked, and my colleagues there in this workshop with my dad's place is about 20 or 30 people, and we were paid by piecework. We were paid by however piece we made. The pieces were checked by somebody else, and if they didn't meet spec, you got deducted 5 pieces. So I got paid 20 pence for each piece, and that was really good pay. And for a 14-year-old, it was a fantastic pay. Now, what I noticed when I was actually working in the place was a couple of things. One, that nobody was working anything like as fast as they could, even though they were on piecework, which didn't make logical sense until you realized that what would happen is if they did work fast, then the piece rates would be changed and they'd have to work their butts off every day to make the same amount of money. So nobody trusted anybody, so that was going to happen. Second point was the lady, who was a German lady, who we actually called the Nazi, and that's another story we might get back to later on, is she could work at literally twice my pace, and it was just like watching ballet. She was fantastic. And I'd go home and I'd say to Dad, you know full well that the guys on the floor are A, very unhappy, and 2, they're not working anything like as fast as they could work. And he'd say, well, that's just the game, Julian. I know the game, they know the game, we play the game. And I said, well, how is it that we would do this? It's based on distrust. They're distrusting you and you're distrusting them, and everybody's unhappy. And he said, no, that's actually how the game's played. That's how it is, that's how life is. Now, my dad was a really, really forward-thinking person, because when you would ask him what his job was, and I did, he would actually say, my job is to ensure that every person in our factory gets paid on Friday evening. That's my job. He didn't talk about other stuff. He said that was his job. Yet even though he thought like that, we still played the piecework distrust game. So that question in my mind is why people can't be energized to work to their best, and why people are unhappy at work and don't deliver their best. That has been a 60-year question. So I can't be very smart, because I'm still trying to answer it, right? And I'm asking for your help to actually to address it. So that's one story based in reality, starting on the shop floor. Another story based in reality, starting on the shop floor, because I want to really stress that this stuff works, is a funny one. I was a department manager of a stranding department in a cable manufacturing plant, telephone cable manufacturing plant. I was like, whatever it was, 26 years old, didn't know what I was doing. And fortunately, my team of about 12 or 15 liked me, and they actually worked well for me and made up for my inadequacies because they liked me. That was as simple as that. And I knew that, and that's how it worked there. So one day, we've got to work Saturday to make up some schedule for the plant to make its monthly budgets. And I get a call at 6 o'clock in the morning, and one of my mates says, we've got a fantastic opportunity. I've got a tea time at Three Rivers to play golf at 2 o'clock. And I said, shit, like I'm working. And he says, find out how to do it. Find out how to come up. We've got to play Three Rivers, because we both wanted to play Three Rivers for ages. So I thought about this. I'm driving into work, which is about a half-hour drive from where I'm living, into this little town called Lindsay. And I figure out, I've got to put this to the boys. So we rock up, and the guy that was really running the operation was a guy called Roy Ormsby. And I think his clock number was 207 or 164, one or the other. We all had clock numbers. So I pulled Roy aside and I said, Roy, here's the situation. I'd really like to finish this shift at 1 o'clock. If we can finish production at 100% at 1 o'clock, what we've got on industrial engineering standards, I'll sign you all out at 4 o'clock. Do you reckon you can do that? Roy says, yeah, I reckon so. And he's quite engaged by that as a target, just to show off how bloody brilliant the crew is, right? And I could see that too. So he goes and grabs the rest of the crew. I'm left to one side and they talk it through. And we all know what production is, which products we've got to make. We all know what the speeds of these products are, and we all know the industrial engineering standards. And we normally make 80% standard. He comes back to me and says, no worries, Julian, we've got it. We'll be finished before 1. And I look at him and say, you sure, Roy? You sure, Roy? And because to me, whoa, that's incredible. So he says, no, don't worry about it. But some of the boys need to phone their wives. And he points out the guys. And I say, okay, I'll speak to each of them. I'll give them the phone numbers. I'll phone their wives for them so they can work properly. So that's fine. So we sort that out. Some of them don't want to phone their wives. They want to do something else, not tell their wives. So anyway, they start working, and it's a bloody windmill. The place is humming. Things are working so well, and everything's running so fast and so slick. It's a ballet. I'm in admiration as to what's occurring. So about 12 o'clock, I can see we're going to finish, right? And at 12:30, sure enough, we finished 100% standard in 4.5 hours, when normally we're running at 80% standard. And if you do the maths, that's 220% efficiency. Now, these efficiencies are measured by industrial engineers down to 4 decimal places of an hour. And they're measured by every hand movement and all the rest of it, right? The control mechanism of industrial engineering. Anyway, we'd finished by 12:30. Roy comes over to me and he says, that's cool, can you sign the boys out? And I said, I've already signed them out, because I knew what was going on. So I'd already gotten there, got all their clock cards, signed them out, said, you're done, boys, off you go. Then I took Roy aside and just for a laugh, I said, what happens Monday morning, Roy? And he said, same as usual, Julian. And I said, yeah, that's fair enough. Keep it at least at 80, will you? And he said, you have nothing to worry about, Julian. So if we go back to the slide, the triad slide, and play that little game, there was a purpose. Get out by 1 o'clock, get signed out at 1, and get paid 12 hours for 5 hours work. Pretty straightforward purpose. Plus there was a purpose actually to show off expertise. They actually, as a team, they were going to show me how it really worked, right? So they were engaged, they had purpose. I didn't do anything. I literally did nothing. I spent time actually in the front office doing some scheduling for the next week. So they had power to act. And there was sustained trust actually within me, because they actually knew that if head office or even HR in the plant had known I'd doing this, I was going to get fired, right? And there was going to be all kinds of mess. The union would have complained to them no end. The union would have said, what the hell are you doing? Management would have said to me, what the hell are you doing? And we'd all have been in trouble. And they knew I wasn't going to say anything on Monday and say, you've got to run the same as you did on Saturday. So I had sustained trust. So there we'd moved from 80% efficiency to 220% efficiency, because we'd hit the triad, right? We got it working in this small, contained, specific time period with these guys. That sat with me for years, and I thought, wow, this is ridiculous. So that was another example.